if there's anything that New Yorkers hate more than anything else, it's people from New Jersey. And if there's anything that people from New Jersey hate more than anything else, it's other people from New Jersey and New Yorkers. So here I am, making a third Rye Playland video, which is more than I thought I ever would about this tiny, almost irrelevant park to at least coaster enthusiasts. Now, I promised to all the angry people who commented on my original Rye Playland vlog from like 2 years ago that I would make this video. Now, for context, if you have not watched either of my other videos about Rye Playland, then this video might not make a lot of sense to you. So I'll give you some background. However, if you got some time on your hands, I would definitely appreciate it if you did watch them. But if you are the person who either lives in New York or enjoys Rye Playland, then maybe don't watch that first video because you'll probably just hate me. So basically, back in June of 2019, I visited Rye Playland for the first time and did not like it at all. I went in with the idea of just riding the coasters and having a good time, maybe getting a bite to eat, and just, experience the park and have an idea of revisiting the park in the future to really experience it. And unfortunately, like I said, I did not like it at all. And the original video I made, which was a vlog style video, it got a lot of negative attention, and I got called a lot of names, and yeah, it wasn't really pretty in the comments, and still isn't. A lot of people are still commenting about it, even though I made a new review saying that I was going to make this video eventually, and this video is very overdue. So in 2021, I actually got to revisit the park with Audrey, who was one of the people who actually got mad at me since she grew up going there, and hopefully I was going to form a new opinion about this park. I myself actually wanted to revisit the park because I always like to give second chances to parks and rides and all that type of stuff. And that day, I was actually the one who wanted to go over Audrey, which is very rare because she was the one who usually wanted to go with me. So when we pulled up to the lot, it was actually really busy and the parking lot was full of buses and summer camps. And if you've been to a theme park when there's a lot of buses and summer camps in the lot, you know it's just not going to be a great day because they're usually very rude and obnoxious and just not fun to be around. So one thing about this park, I'm pretty sure the parking actually varies per day based on busyness and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure it was either $5 or $10 a day we visited in 2021. I'm pretty sure back in 2019 it was only $5 because the park wasn't busy at all. And I'm pretty sure the wristbands are around $20-ish depending on the day. So it's definitely a park that's worth of its mission because it's cheap and you can have a good time here. Like I said, it was kind of busy and there were a lot of summer camps there. So in order to get into the park, it was quite a bit of a line. And the cool thing about this park is you can actually buy the wristbands online beforehand, and there is a separate line to pick up your wristbands if you have a reservation, I'm pretty sure they called it. So that's definitely a cool feature that they implemented. I'm pretty sure it wasn't there back in 2019, or I just definitely didn't know about it, or it wasn't advertised because I visited the website and it said nothing about that. But this time I went around and Audrey knew what to do, and she was definitely smart for that. And I definitely recommend it if you're going to go to this park. So we pretty much cut our time in half there, and the employees at the entrance were actually really quick, efficient, and they were super friendly too, which is a stark contrast to the last time I went. Once we got in, kind of just walked around for a bit. Pretty much everything was open in terms of games, food, and rides. I've always liked the look of this park too, and in my opinion really hasn't changed much on this. Some of the buildings could use some paint or touch-ups here and there, but the classic charm is definitely there, and the architecture is really nice. The park's landscaping is super simple. It's just grass, flowers, but they're all maintained really well, and it looks really good. So after a few minutes of walking around and just taking in the scenery, we were also trying to find a short line in the park. And just a forewarning, a lot of the rides here are fairly low capacity because the park is simply just not meant to see the crowds as parks like Great Adventure, Hershey Park, or any parks in the area really see. You're not going to find a 1,500 people per hour B&M here or any crazy high capacity Intamin. You're basically just going to get old classic rides that run as minimal ride units as possible. For example, Dragon Coaster usually only runs one train unless the park is absolutely slammed. Ye Olde Mill, which is one of their classic dark rides, which is pretty much considered to be a must ride there, only runs a few boats at a time, unfortunately, because it's probably old. They probably don't have a lot of boats to begin with, and also they can only run a few boats at a time through the ride because of an unfortunate accident that happened years ago. So the few rides we actually rode that day were Crazy Mouse, Dragon Coaster, Double Shot, and Ye Olde Mill. So as I mentioned before, Ye Olde Mill is considered one of those rides that are a must-do at Rye Playland, and I definitely regret not riding it the last time. I think I would have enjoyed my day just a little bit more if I did ride it. It's a cute little dark ride with a fun theme of mining and seeing, cool monsters, and it's a boat ride too, so the water does allow you to slightly cool off even though you don't get wet from it, and it's in the shade the entire time, and it's a very long ride, so you definitely get that shade for a long time. However, I'm pretty sure at one point it does squirt water at you, so you do actually get wet. All the scenes that it has look really nice, and it's just kind of fun to float through the trough, even when it's just a dark tunnel, because there are parts of the ride that don't have scenes, and it's just, like I said, a dark tunnel. However, there is music, and just being in the shade is really nice, especially on a hot day like the day we went. After that, we went up to the Dragon Coaster, and something I noticed this time around is that the ops were insanely fast at checking the train. We sat down and the train left pretty much seconds later, probably a 30-second or less dispatch time, which is really crazy even for how simple the restraint checks are. It's literally just a T-bar that goes across both people, and both rows in each car are connected, so you put down 2 lap bars at once basically. The ride is also manually operated still, which is a really cool thing to see, especially if you're a ride operator. We're used to the modern, panels and many buttons and safety checks we have to do. With them, they literally just ran down the train, pulled up the lap bars, make sure everything was locked, and pushed the lever down, and the train moved. It was really cool to see. The line was about 20 minutes, and it was way out the entrance, so the fact that it's only 20 minutes with just one train running with that long of a line is pretty good. Now, the queue itself isn't that long, but still, out of the entrance for that queue is still kind of long. The ride is fairly long too, so really there wasn't much more the operators could do besides check the restraints as fast as they could, and they looked like they were having a good time doing it, which is, like I said, a stark contrast from the last time I visited. Now, obviously, they could have put the second train on, but from my understanding, like I said before, the park does not run a second train on Dragon Coaster unless it's absolutely slammed. Also, 2 notes about the trains on Dragon Coaster. Not sure if they adjusted the lap bars to be a little bit higher since 2019, but they were nowhere near as tight, and the trains were fairly comfortable. I had no problem pulling down the lap bar this time around, because last time I was really stapled, and it was very uncomfortable. Also, it seems like they redid the trains with a cool looking wrap around them, so instead of just having like a white and green coat of paint on them, they had this cool looking wrap that looked like a dragon. I thought it looked really cool. Definitely didn't fit the ride itself, but it's nice to see that the park is definitely proud of this ride, and they definitely should be. It's a piece of history, and it's nice to see that they're maintaining it. And sure, the ride isn't intense or anything, but it's still fun, and I have to really applaud the carpenters who work on this ride because it is butter smooth for the most part. For how old it is, it should not be that smooth. After that was the SNS Double Shot, which is just your normal SNS tower. Decent airtime, not super tall, but it definitely has a nice view of the surrounding area, even with its short height. And of course, we rode Crazy Mouse, which was just a wild mouse, a little low capacity one, smaller one, but it had a nice view of Dragon Coaster, and even though the trains are tight, the ladders were still a lot of fun. So all of my experiences with the employees that day were pretty good. As mentioned before, the front entrance team members were super friendly, and the ride ops weren't rude this time around like they were last time, and everyone always tells me that I visited on an off day with bad staffing, and clearly I did in 2019. However, I think the best part of my day was when we got to the Popeyes. So they do actually have a Popeyes on the location. It's not a full Popeyes. It's got like a limited menu to it. And it's just, you walk up to the stand and you order it and they give it to you. It's not like, a full send sit down restaurant, but for whatever reasons, it's really good. I don't know what it is, but it's the best Popeyes I've ever had. Typically, I'm not a person to go to Popeyes. I'd rather just go to a different restaurant. I'm not really a fast food guy in general, but this place was amazing. Also, they give you a ton of food for literally no reason. I think my chicken strip box had like 10 strips in it when I ordered a 4-piece. And it wasn't super expensive either. Overall, I really enjoyed the park this time around and pretty much take back a lot of what I said in my original video in my review. The ride collection itself is still really nothing special, and with it being owned by the Westchester government, unfortunately, I don't see the park improving anytime soon, which is pretty sad. Although it seems that Westchester has some sort of interest in putting some money into the park recently, as it looks like they put some money into the rides, like I said, with the Dragon Coaster trains, and they even built a Zamperla Disco sometime in between my 2 visits. Not sure when it was built, but it was built. Everyone I talked to about this park, and even some of the commenters on my previous video, tell me that this park is a shell of its former self ever since Westchester government took over. This park could really thrive if it was ran by an actual company, and unfortunately there was a deal to have it run by an amusement park company. I don't really particularly remember which company it was. I think it was Standard Amusements, but unfortunately the deal fell through, and it made a lot of people sad, including myself, because I'm one to really wish this park would do better. Alright, thanks for watching, everybody. And if you're one of the angry New Yorkers or locals from the original videos, I hope you guys are happy, and I hope I made it up to you guys with this kind of apology video. It's more of just an updated thoughts video. However, if you did enjoy the video, make sure you give it a like, maybe subscribe, and of course comment your opinions on the park down below for the 3rd time. Once again, everybody, thanks for watching. I hope to see you guys in the next video.